When people first see ASL, they automatically assume that it's universal. They don't realize that each country has their own sign language. And each language has variations. So what do I mean by variations? ASL, for example, has many variations. So take, for example, the concept early. These are all the different signs that convey that same concept early. Another example would be the concept birthday. So you can sign birthday so many different ways. You can sign it from the ear, from the chin. All of these signs are true ASL, but they represent variations within the language. So there's two different factors that contribute to these variations: social factors and geographical factors. Social factors include things like age, gender, race, social economic class, so ranging anywhere from poor to wealthy. Now, geographical factors depend on where you live. So two communities may not have contact with one another because there's a river in between or a border that prevents that contact. So both social and geographical factors impact variations within ASL. So one particular variation of ASL that we want to focus on today is Black ASL. Researchers noticed that Black ASL, or Black deaf people, had different ways of signing things, different expression, and they began analyzing what identified as Black ASL. So 4 different people started researching this Black ASL. It was C.O. Lucas, Carolyn McCaskill, myself, Joseph Hill, and Robert Bailey. The first 3 I mentioned went to Gallaudet, and Robert Bailey went to California Davis. So they all got together and came up with 2 different research questions. So the first question was, what happened throughout history that caused Black ASL to develop, based on social and geographical factors? Second question is, how do we identify Black ASL? What kind of linguistic features separate Black ASL from any other variation? So different things like signing space, location of the sign, movement. We noticed that these parameters separated Black ASL from any other variation of sign language. So for our research, we focused on southern U.S. states. And the reason we did this is because in the southern states, they experienced segregation, where Black deaf students and white deaf students were separated, which contributed to the variation. So we focused on Virginia, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana. We separated the research group into 2 different age groups, an older generation and a younger generation. So the older generation was 55 years and above, younger generation was 35 years old and below. So we separated these groups into two different age groups for each state. So we're not going to discuss all the linguistic features that separate Black ASL from any other variation, but we will discuss a few of them. The first concept we'll discuss is handedness. So this is whether or not you use two hands or one hand to sign the same concept. So some examples would be dear, have. So we compared black ASL users and white deaf ASL users. And we noticed that black ASL users tended to use two hands rather than one hand. The white ASL users use one hand signs. So the next concept we're going to discuss is location of the sign. So the general format of the sign or location of the sign is towards the forehead, but some ASL users tend to sign the same sign closer to the chin. So a couple of examples would be no, teach, things like that. So we noticed that black ASL users tended to gravitate more towards the forehead when producing these signs versus when white ASL users produce these signs closer to the forehead. The next concept we're going to discuss is signing space. So usually from your head to your waist and from shoulder to shoulder. We noticed that black ASL users tended to use a larger signing space when compared to white ASL users. So we asked the older generation of black ASL users for different old signs that they tend to use. We noticed that the sign for science, they use a pinky, upside down pinky that bounced along the backhand of the hand. Another sign was poor. We also analyzed the younger black ASL users and some of those variations of signs. So the sign important, and pregnant, and birthday. They all sign these a little bit different. Then we asked African American deaf people about their experience with having access to technology and how this impacted their learning. So black ASL users will hang out with hearing people a lot, and they'll kind of take on some of their slang words. We asked them to show us some of these words and how they incorporated this into black ASL. Some of these phrases included my bad, girl please, I know that's right. Another slang word would be stop tripping. Now, in our research, we found so many different ways to identify Black ASL. And this is just a surface level research. We know that there's more to find out about Black ASL, and this research is just the first step in doing so.